Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Sally Rideout, Government Affairs Specialist for the Southwest Indiana Chamber of Commerce. We're joined today by Mike Goebel, who is a member of the Vanderburgh County Council and running for re-election in this year. And I'm going to turn the conversation over now to Tara Barney, who's the President and CEO of the Southwest Indiana Chamber, for our conversation.
Thanks, Sally, and thanks for being with us, sir. It's nice to know you, and it's wonderful to know that you're serving our community in so many ways, not just on council, but leading our children, and I hear you do a little coaching perhaps too. So it's good to be with you.
That's debatable this year, but we're trying.
Well, I thought I'd kick off our conversation with the obvious question, because council deals with the county's finances, and it's fair to say that the pandemic has changed the financial strengths of many of our state and local partners. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on your priorities, what things you think really require either protecting the level of funding that they're receiving now or even increases, and where you think there might be opportunities to contract if that's necessary in the coming years.
Well, hopefully we don't have to cut back. On the federal level, there was talk with the stimulus packages that state and local governments would be given some help. Yeah. We have not yet received any, but I have to say that we had our preliminary budget hearing on September the 9th, and we voted across the board to maintain our budget. We are balancing that budget, and we have increased the budget in several areas, particularly in law enforcement. And we really haven't cut any county employees, and we're offering the same packages. I think that's a great testimonial to the work of this council. It's very frugal in a lot of ways, but we also help when we can and where we can. And in this time period, to be able to come up with what we call a balanced budget without any cuts, I just think it's remarkable.
Well, I have to tip my hat because I would agree. It's if the chamber's interested in anything, it's prudence. That doesn't mean we don't want investment in government. It's making sure that it's well managed and high impact. So it's good to have your feedback on that.
Thank you, Tara.
I'm going to stay in that space because another priority of this community, especially this business community, is how we grow the population, the total population of this region. We've been flat for a long time, and we especially see an imperative to having more 20 to 34-year-olds decide to start their careers here, because they've got a chance to build long-term relationships with our region and to work in our businesses and basically grow their families here. I'd love your thoughts on what sort of programs or infrastructure investments that you think could really be made to help attract more people into this region.
Well, hopefully we can reboot and rekindle what was happening in Evansville and Vanderburgh County before the pandemic. I think, I've said it just about to anyone who will listen, that this might be the greatest time in Southern Indiana's history with the influx of I-69 and the routes that are coming through, the businesses that are growing. We got the IU Medical Center, which might be the greatest addition to our community ever, and it's right downtown. The Ford Center, Tropicana moved on board. We have our LST parked now in Indiana waters. That's a great thing. And I just really think that with our educational facilities, U of E, USI, Ivy Tech, and the great EVSC programs and the choice of parochial private schools, we've got a great setup for inviting people to stay. Now, as far as getting them to stay, I think the jobs are coming. They had been coming before. I think there's been a slowdown, obviously. You probably know much more about that than I. But we're doing everything we can on council, at least I am. Anytime we get a business that comes in and wants to have a little help to get started with a tax phase in or something like that, I can't remember the last time our council has voted no. We've got great partnership with Gage. We help fund Gage through the council. And it's a lot better setup than it was when I first started on council, because Gage now does the homework for us and makes recommendations. And we pretty well follow their suggestion. It used to be, you know, I have a great interest in industry and business, but I don't have that background and certainly don't have that kind of time that Gage has. And they come up with a plan. It's no longer council person scoring, but it is Gage scoring, and then we are allowed to talk with them. So that's one area. I do believe that we have done an excellent job, and I think it will continue to grow in that respect. There are others if you want to hear me out, but I'll let you ask the questions, Tara.
Well, it's laudable that you mentioned Gage, because I do think that's a very healthy model. And I think it allows consistency from request to request. And you're right, it's very hard for our elected officials to be subject matter experts in a lot of this stuff. And so I think that is a very apt statement. And it kind of leads to something I'd like to explore a little more, because one of the things that we've seen as we just look at the data is that our mix of jobs here is not paying as high wages as they might over time to help support families and move them out of poverty. And I'm just wondering, as you hear from Gage and look at these opportunities to invest in business, I'll choose my words carefully. Do you see things that could be emphasized differently, or ways that you'd like to see the county's resources and economic development be used for more impact?
Well, I think
you're doing a great job, so I don't want to put you in the negative space, but if you have thoughts, you seem to know a bit about it.
Well, when Gage comes before us, or when any business is considering locating here in Vanderburgh County, we do study very closely the number of employees, hopefully from the local market they're going to hire, and also the salaries that they pay. And almost all of them come up with salaries and benefits as a main priority. And that question is asked each and every time. And we do try to keep them to their pledge when they come in and establish that they do actually hire the numbers they say, and they give the payments to those workers. It just benefits all of us in the local economy.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that perspective. We're always looking at training grants and things like that to see which things might have the most long-term benefit for our region. And it's tricky because you never know what decision you're going to make today is going to be helpful in 10 years, but appreciate your thoughts on that.
Well, certainly. And we know the Southwestern Indiana Chamber is first and out in the front with attracting and trying to retain. And, you know, you made a Chamber of the Year in 2016, and that's remarkable.
Thank
and
you.
I remember as a result of that, the success Evansville was building upon, and Vanderburgh County, different communities are coming to Evansville. And that I don't recall ever happening in my lifetime, where people came to check us out and see what we're doing right. So congratulations to the Chamber. And I think it's just been an effort between public, private, and a lot of great workers in local government. From my standpoint on the local county council, I remember when Lloyd Winnicky was on the council, and my first couple meetings when he was there, I said, you know, it doesn't seem to be any sparring on a partisan nature. And he said, you could throw a blanket on that council, and if you wouldn't know the voices, you would have no idea what political party. And that's the way we operate. It's just an even keeled. We kind of stay under the radar. We don't have a lot of personalities acting out, but I think we do an excellent job. And we certainly try to sponsor business and try to work with the Convention and Visitors Bureau. We've put some money forward in that regard. Of course, the Economic Development Coalition and other organizations locally, we have earmarked money from the council to help build our economy.
Well, and we appreciate that. I've been in this business my entire career, and I'll say with serious respect, there's a difference between the role of the public sector and the private sector, and when they work together, it can be a beautiful thing. So I appreciate your partnership in that.
Well, I think that talking with anyone in business, that we have the located businesses that are here, like the large corporations like Vectron and of course Old National downtown, but you have very global. We now have out on the, up the road a little bit, but Toyota has been a godsend for us.
Absolutely.
And we all work hand in hand together. And I have not met one person from the business sector who has been anything but positive about our area. I think it's only natural that we're going to continue the growth.
Well, I'm sure we have work to do, but we're going to be doing it together. So I'm glad to hear that, because I've been here for a couple of years, and I've got to say I'm very bullish on this region myself. So in particular, what's your number one priority in your role with council? Is there something that you're particularly that you lead on, or particularly see as a high priority for your work?
Well, I don't know if it's the number one priority, but quality of life programs that attract young people, places where they can go to, enjoy life, enjoy health. We have recently, the council has set up a fund of $50,000 to help with COVID testing. That's not a glamorous thing, but at least we're making a statement that there is a need and we're trying to help. As far as infrastructure and traveling, the council sets aside about $300,000 a year to help Mets, so people can get around. Now, I don't know that how many millennials would take part in that, but it's something that we need for our community to have some infrastructure for travel, buses and things like that. Just a continued growth in partnership with our medical facilities, our great hospitals, and the IU Medical Center. And now our health department is right next to it, and to the medical center, and we can join hands together and make this a healthier, better community. I totally believe in trying to make this a comfortable fit for people who want to remain. I think, I know the Chamber's goal is to come up with clean alternatives for fuel, and certainly I believe in that. And the jobs that will be produced as a result, clean jobs, white collar jobs in some respects. And of course, we take care of all of our skilled laborers and the other workers. I think we've got it all if we continue to plug forward.
I absolutely agree with you. I think what we can do a little better job of is telling our story, because you're right.
That's your job.
That's
Sarah.
Right. Believe me, I take that on.
Well,
and we're on that, sir.
Once again, it's a partnership, and I just think that we have a great system set up. The Chamber has been very good to us. I think the Convention and Visitors Bureau is helping with the downtown development. The Evansville Sports Carp, which I serve on that board, has done a great job as far as bringing in people to see Evansville. And when those people walk away from just a high school or college basketball tournament or another event, they are totally impressed. And that's a compliment to those organizers. And I think the same thing goes with operating and opening doors for businesses to come in. We are welcoming, we're warm. I think we still have a little bit of that Southern Indiana flavor where people smile when they come. We're pretty happy-go-lucky in a lot of ways.
Well, I agree. I think you've ably described our region. I'm going to put you on our branding committee. But in all seriousness, we sure appreciate your time, and it's been my pleasure to hear a little bit more about your priorities and your interests, and I'm very, very appreciative of the partnership we have with you. So thank you for serving, and good luck in the next few weeks.
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to need a little luck in many ways, but really appreciate this opportunity to speak with the Chamber and maybe get my message out a little bit. Thank you.